So, hello and good evening. Reverend Michael McMorrow coming to you from the sanctuary of the Center for Spiritual Living in Granada Hills, California. We're located in the North San Fernando Valley. We're a faith community that welcomes all who practice their beliefs and faith and love. And so I want to welcome you tonight for our Healing and Revealing meditation service. If this is your first time giving meditation a try, welcome. I'll walk you through it. It's actually pretty simple, and I make it so easy to do. All right, but before we get to that, we're going to start our service the way we start all of our services here at the center by taking a deep conscious breath and just sigh it out, just releasing all the stuff of the day, all the cares, the concerns, the worldly clamors. We just release them all now as we allow ourselves to surrender to this eternal now moment for our call to service, which we call lighting the flames of faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life that acknowledges that, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. That fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this evening. So the first candle is we light for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. The third candle we light for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. The seventh candle we light for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. The eighth candle we light for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. The ninth candle we light for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. The 10th candle we light for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of spirit in their lives, and for the space we hold for them here at our center, within our online community, and here within our own hearts. And behind me, we have on the altar, we have the healing candle. Please put silently or say aloud, if you like, the names of anyone you wish to have experience the healing flame of God's eternal love.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I surrender. I trust in God.
So let's take another deep breath together. And release, allowing ourselves to surrender to this eternal now moment, recognizing and knowing together that there is but one power, one presence, one source, one life, one living intelligence. It is truth, beauty, power, intelligence, love. And so in whatever way we know this power and presence to be, we know that right where we are dwells the living Spirit itself. And so we call forth in a conscious way an insight that allows us to connect and to make welcome a feeling, an awareness, a welcoming of the indwelling presence into this conscious moment. And so from this conscious unity with the One then, what I know is that this evening is unfolding in right and perfect order, that we release any attachment to what happens next. And even as we set an intention for this meditation this evening, we release any attachment to outcome and know that it is all indeed perfect, because it wouldn't be happening if it wasn't so. So taking another breath and releasing this word and the intentions, the cares and concerns of anyone listening, we release it to that aspect of the mind of the divine itself that knows to say only yes. And so in gratitude and in confidence, we release it knowing it is done, knowing it is so. And together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. Oh man, he was just getting into it. So I'm joined here by Michael Carlin. I couldn't do this without him, and so I very much appreciate his volunteer, by the way, his volunteer commitment to be here on Wednesdays and Sundays. So thank you, Michael, for all the ways that you serve, but especially this evening. So we're still working with Start Where You Are. We're almost done with it, and then I think we're going to work with Joel Goldsmith coming into December and 2011. Goldsmith is a good way for us to ramp up our game. So we've really been getting some wonderful insights on how to reboot our meditation practice. And Pema is really quite generous in sharing her own experiences and her own challenges with meditation, as she has instructed us throughout this book on effective meditation techniques through the sharing of her own experience and her willingness to call herself out. Well, she's just delightful. Wouldn't it be nice to have an afternoon with tea and Pema, and just to kind of catch up with an old friend. So if you think about last week, we were talking about these the slogans around train in the 3 difficulties, and we were talking about seeing neuroses as neurosis, and doing something different. Did we talk about that last week, Mike? Doing something different? Yes. He's shaking his head. but I don't think he really remembers. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, he does. So I'll just, so remember, doing something different. So the idea here is, we can get stuck into our routines, right? Because one of the benefits of meditation, of course, is that we learn to respond to life rather than react. So when we're pushed off our center, we don't have to be uncentered, yeah? So we learn how to kind of roll with life, to go with the flow, if you will. And so one of the things that she's talking about is how to do something different when it comes to jealousy. All right, so if you're jealous, she says, can you snap your fingers and no longer be jealous? Well, we all know it's more difficult than that. You're sitting there and your boyfriend is sitting across the room with somebody else having a really good time, and you're getting more jealous and furious by the minute. There's a little bird on your shoulder who says, okay, here's your big chance. You could use this to wake up. And you say, forget it. He's being a creep. I want to be mad at him. He deserves my anger. Now, this little bird is jumping up and down saying, hey, 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 don't you remember? Right? So doesn't it kind of work this way? We have this commitment to our spiritual practice. We have this commitment to responding rather than reacting. Don't you remember? And you're saying, I don't believe this stuff, right? Can you relate to that? I'm chucking all this spirituality stuff. I have a right to be jealous, right? There's that self-righteous anger. That's the richest kind. He's so horrible. And there you are. The little bird jumps up on the other shoulder and pulls at your earlobe and says, come on, give yourself a break. Get to know this uncomfortable stuff. Drop the story. Forget it. You say, in the most stubborn of ways. And she says, that's what I find about myself. Even when we're given the methods for how to give ourselves a break, we can be so stubborn. If you think smoking is hard to give up, try giving up your habitual patterns. Yeah. It leaves you with the same kind of queasy feeling that you have when giving up any other addiction. Yeah. So cigarettes, that was tough. Profanity was even tougher, and I have to say I've been slipping lately. So instead of liberating yourself by examining and analyzing, the habitual response to seeing yourself clearly is to take the wrong medicine, right? So we inflame the jealousy. We wallow in more self-pity. We speed up the frivolity. Usually we do this by talking to ourselves. It's like a bellows fanning a flame. We just sit there and we have fantasies about our boyfriend leaving the party with our friend, or we talk to ourselves about how it's hopeless and how we always feel like this and how it's never going to get better. Do something different. Use Tonglen meditation technique. Anything different would help. Anything that's not habitual. For example, you could go up, take a cold shower, sing at the top of your lungs, or drink a glass of water from the wrong side like you do when you're trying to get rid of hiccups. So to do something different. So in 12-step, they call that taking contrary action. And it's a real sign of spiritual maturity when we can do it. And I have, there have been those days when I'm like, I'll be in a frustrating situation, and then I'll look back on the day, and I'll kind of just, rather than use spiritual practice to navigate my way through. I'll just gnash my teeth and kind of, muscle through it. And then, and then I get to the end of the day and I said, okay, well, I did some good ministerial work today, but I could have done it with grace. And then there's those days when I just seem to intuitively know how to meet these challenges and experience a sense of grace. And I get to the end of the day and I think, I did some good ministerial work today. And I was blessed in doing it. For I had a sense of the grace of the divine in the moment. Those are the sweet spots. We can do that, whether we're a minister, a lawyer, swinging a hammer, turning a wrench, or taking care of the kids. And anytime we're triggered and we meet the challenge with a response rather than a reaction, right? With something novel rather than a habitual pattern. So we not only grow in maturity as a human on the earth plane, but there's also something within us that accesses that sweet spot of the divine that allows us to even experience our life as the life of the divine in expression. And that is the sweet spot. And when we're living in this space, then really we are experiencing the mystical side of life. And it's a nice space to hang out in. So how to cultivate that? Well, meditation is certainly part of that. Right? So whatever your particular spiritual practice is, right? So we want to find some kind of inspirational or scriptural reading, regardless of which tradition it comes from. I know I have several. I have a Bible that's not really my go-to, but I have a copy of Edward Villon's Bhagavad Gita that I dip into. I got some Mark Nepo stuff. I got some 12-step stuff. I got Science of Mind 365. I've got a Hazelden 24-hour-a-day book. Just kind of depends on I have the Unity Daily Word. So, whatever works for you. And then there's that, trying to set aside at least 10 minutes. And my latest practice has been to look up, right, to hold the high watch during that time. This has been an interesting experience because my go-to is to close my eyes and just to kind of go within. So this has been an interesting experience. It's not really a meditation for me, it's more kind of a contemplation. But the idea is that you look up at where the ceiling and the wall meet. Right? And the idea is that we raise our eyes up unto the Lord, kind of thing. So this is a Emma Curtis Hopkins practice. So try that sometime tomorrow. for now, we're going to do meditation that's more of Vipassana based. It's kind of a working man's Vipassana, if you will. I've kind of adapted it a little bit to science of mind flavor at the end. And so just get yourself seated in your seat. So if this is your first time meditating, you just want to check your seat, whether you're on a cushion, if you're sitting lotus. I'm up to using a chair now because I'm just way too stiff for the other stuff. Although I do like sitting that way, using a cushion at home. And so we're just getting comfortable, and the idea is to just build this, the mountain, right? This triangle, this solid, immovable shape. And then we're going to work with the breath, and what we mean by that is we're simply focusing our attention onto the movement of the breath in the nostril. This can be pressure, temperature, in, out, and then see if we can develop bring our attention to the movement of the breath on the upper lip. And as you do this, you'll see the busyness of the day will just fall away, and the mind will really start to quiet. And you may not stop thinking, and that's okay, but we're just observing thought. And if we find that we get hooked by a thought and, take out a bunch of line like a trout who's just taken the hook, right? And we can spit out the hook by just simply taking a deep breath and releasing, and then just bringing our attention back to the breath. Very, very simple technique. And it takes years, and it takes a lot of practice. So there are those who do this for hours at a time. But tonight we're only going to go for 20 minutes. All right, so that's good news, right? So let's just start by taking a deep conscious breath together. And release. And since we have the time this evening, let's take another deep breath. And release. And go and let it all the way out. And breathing all the way up to the top and holding it. And then release. Oh, feel that release. So now we just still ourselves by paying attention to the movement of the breath in the nostril. Breathing easily and naturally. So we're not doing like a furrowed brow because we're concentrating. No, we're just focusing on the breath and relaxing. Following the breath. Bringing our attention to the bottom of our feet and the movement of the breath in the nostril. Do you see how the mind begins to still? Up the leg, into the knees, So if you're sitting and your legs are torqued a little bit, sometimes we twist our legs and the knee a little bit. Just make a little adjustment and return back to the breath. To the thighs, the hamstrings. Breathing easily and naturally. The tummy rising and falling with each in-breath. Find the lower back feels a little locked, you can tuck your tailbone in. That'll release that. And now we allow ourselves to bring our awareness to an erect spine. Let's take a deep breath together. And we're going to release the shoulders. Just let them drop. Maybe the ears even raise from the shoulders. So an erect spine, free of any tension. Any tension in the arms, just breathing and releasing that. And how about our face? On the next exhale, relax the muscles on the outside edges of your nose and your upper lip and your lip and face area. Following the breath. You may experience some tingling above the eyebrows, known as that third eye area. Or in the crown of the head, so you can just observe that. And now in following the breath, I invite you to experiment with bringing your attention to the exhale. Taking a deep conscious breath. Attention on the exhale. We release and move move into the silence now for about 20 minutes. So bringing our attention gently back into the room, staying with the breath. So imagine with me a flame at the very heart center in your chest. And that with each in-breath, we are fanning that flame. So that with each in-breath, that flame is growing in brilliance, is growing in size, staying with the breath. And as we know, the love and the light of the divine is everywhere present. We just imagine ourselves now breathing in the very light of the divine, that this light commingles with the light within. So that there's now a ball of light at the very heart center. A radiant, healing ball of light. So with each in-breath, it's growing now. Side to side, front to back, top to bottom. Breathing in light and exhaling love. Breathing in light, exhaling love. God is. I am. God is. I am. So this ball expands now beyond the body torso. Again, from side to side, front to back, top to bottom. And we are now sitting in this globe of light. This field of light, energy of light and love. The very room in which we reside is filled with the light and the love of the divine, breathing in light and exhaling love. And so from this place, in this field of light and love, let us know together that with each in-breath, we are aligning with a pattern of perfection. That the light of the divine is energizing at an atomic level every atom, every molecule, every cell, every organ, every muscle, every bone, every sinew of our body. That every system within the body temple is energized with the light and the love of the divine, that the body temple now with each in-breath is fortifying itself by aligning with a pattern of perfection, aligning with the God and energy, the light energy within. That the body temple is restored and revitalized. That we continue to experience resilience, a resilient immune system. Staying with the breath, that every wrinkle of our cortex, every neuron is enlivened and enlightened by the light of spirit. That we are opening our mind now to a divine download which contains within it that a new and dynamic idea of our greatest yet to be. So whether it is now in real time or comes to us later, that we are just open and receptive, and knowing that there is that within us that has all power, and it is the power, the one presence, the one source, the one life, the living intelligence impressing and expressing itself in, through, and as all life. So from this conscious unity with the one, we bring forth our intention, whatever that may be. We're knowing for Bailey an expression of radiant good health, that anything unlike radiant good health is expelled, is dissolved, is obliterated. That we know for anyone within our community facing any kind of health challenge, that the body is restored to full and complete function in every way. That we know that our heart has been opened, that our relationships at work and home are connected, awake, alert, and aware. That we are intuitively guided to see the light of the divine within all beings. That we know for our career that we continue to be inspired and inspire. Or even our work life is an expression of the one mind of the divine. And that we experience prosperity in all of its forms, that we are open and receptive in new ways to live a life that is supported in the flow of life, where all of our needs are met and then some. So taking a deep conscious breath, we release. And in that release, knowing that we are releasing it to that aspect of the mind of the divine itself that knows only to say yes. Yes, my beloved, yes, in you I am well pleased. So in deep gratitude and supreme confidence, we release our word, our cares, concerns, intentions unto that aspect of this mind, knowing it is done, knowing it is so. And together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. Now, was it my imagination, or did we have a little trembler?
I heard a noise.
I felt like I thought I was feeling a shaking, but maybe I was having a Shakti experience. So that's our meditation for this evening. We meet here on this exact same channel, 10:30 Sunday mornings, and I'm here with our assistant minister, Reverend Nancy Woods, who is officiates and acts as our presider, and our music director, I almost said Dr. Ken Francis, yeah, Mr. Ken Francis, and he's joined by Jason Goldstein. And once in a while, we're blessed with Lily Passarero. So, but that's not this Sunday. So anyway, it's a nice program. Good music, a reasonably good message. Reverend Nancy's always inspiring. And of course, Michael is here along with Evan to ensure that we have a nice unfolding of the service. So, join us or text a friend and have a friend join us. And then we have fellowship on Zoom. The other thing we're looking for is if you have any extra exterior Christmas lights, not the big bald mess that you can't get untangled. I don't need those. But in particular, I'm looking for icicles. I just want to lighten up the outside of the church. And if I can get to it, I'm going to give a little, I'm going to try doing some window painting this year. I'm going to try and get us in a little Festivus mood on the outside, even though you're not with us on the inside. Maybe you can come by in the evening and feel a little festivity. And during the day, check out the window painting, how it's going along. And of course, I do have the book that I've just finished here not too long ago. Blue Collar Spirituality, Finding a God That Works. It's available on Amazon. If you have Prime, it's only $10. And I'll tell you what, if you have someone who you think could use a little spiritual lift, particularly those who turn a wrench or swing a hammer or even drive a delivery truck, or just a friend who is maybe feeling a little overwhelmed in life. I'm getting a lot of great response from my colleagues saying that this is a great little introduction to what it is that we teach here. So, get it for yourself, get it for your loved ones. I'd love to get the word out there. And I'm in the process of putting together a class to kind of take us through, get us kicked into the new year, maybe even the holiday season. So, there we go. We're all set. What do you know? We're done a couple minutes early tonight. So just know that you're loved. Stay safe. Stay strong. Wear that mask. Wash your hands. We've got a few months ahead of us now. And then we'll be off to the races by summer, I'm sure. So until then, know that you're loved. Peace and blessings. Sweet dreams. Good night.